Hi everybody and welcome to your practice. Today, if you have them, a couple of yoga blocks would be very handy, as well as a thick folded blanket or towel. And if you don't have a couple of yoga blocks, then you could roll one of your thick blankets and just place it underneath your mat so you have a little ridge that you can use instead of the blocks. And we'll start seated. So coming to seated in any comfortable shape, if you'd like to, you can use those blocks underneath your thighs if your hips are a little sore or if your knees are feeling tight. And then we're just going to rock yourself sort of forward and to the sides to stretch into the hips a wee bit and find the base of your pelvis to sit upon. And after you've done that a couple of times, fold yourself forward for a breath or two and try to bring your attention to the space in the very low part of your ribs and into the side ribs. And fold it forward in this way, maybe up onto fingertips if you need a little more space for your arms. Soft breath in and out through the nose. And then ever so gently on an inhalation, roll the shoulders back. And again on the next inhalation, just a little shoulder roll. Maybe gently nod your head yes, and let it hang. Nod your head, or rather shake your head gently no. And then as though you were rolling up one vertebra at a time, start to walk your hands back towards your body, rolling up towards seated. Once you're seated, you can take your left hand down onto the floor, kind of in line with your left shoulder and your left hip. And if you want, it can be up on a block if that's more comfortable. Hinging over to your left, you're going to reach your right arm up if your shoulders allow it, and as you do so, press that right hip down into the mat. So you almost feel like you're getting stretching upwards and downwards at the same time. If it feels good for you, you could rotate the head to look up towards fingertips, but if that creates compression in the back of the neck, skipping that. And then bring yourself back up to center. You could switch the cross of the legs if you'd like, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So starting off, rocking yourself side to side to stretch into the hip and to move your weight into the base of the pelvis, then folding forward here. Maybe up onto fingertips and a little shoulder roll on your inhales. Letting your head fall heavy. Yes. Slowly saying no. And then folding your way forward. After a breath or two, slide your hands or walk your hands back towards you. We're going to roll up vertebra at a time, up towards seated. Sitting tall here, and then hinging over towards your right. So the right hand in line with your right shoulder, right hip. Reaching your left arm this time, if your shoulder feels comfortable. If not, you can bring the hand to the back of the head, or it can stay down by your waist. Pressing your left hip down towards the floor as you reach your arm, so that it feels nice and long. And just be careful that with your other shoulder, it's not jamming up towards your shoulder, or towards the ear rather. Looking up. If it feels good, opening the sides of your body, and then bring your head to neutral. We'll come all the way back up. Let's transition to hands and knees now. From your hands and knees shape, you can just wag your tail a little bit, stretch into the sides of your hips, and then spreading the fingers wide, you're going to try to lift and tap just your index fingers. And then try to, without bending your elbows, lift and tap just your middle fingers. And then just your ring finger. Then just your pinkies. Then just the thumbs. And we'll do that one more time. So lift and tap index fingers, middle fingers, just the index fingers, pinky fingers, thumbs. And then roll just onto one hand. You're going to kind of peel the palm of the hand, peel the first knuckle up to the pads of your 3 fingers, and then roll back down. Then do the same on the other side. You're going to peel the hand up away from the floor, peel back down. And then with your first hand, you're going to slide it back towards you a little bit, and then peel off the floor the same way. Maybe ending up just resting on the middle finger knuckle, peel back down, and return back to table. Then slide the other hand back, peel off the floor, and return. Back to table. Lastly, let's flip the palms. And as is within your comfort level, let arms stay straight. You're going to hinge back a little bit. Make some circles around that joint. While you do this, it's a good time to connect to that breath moving into the low parts of your ribs and the side ribs. And then bringing your weight back over the wrist, you can flip that hand and do the same on the other side. So we're flipping palms up, fingertips facing towards you, hinging back as is comfortable for you with the arm as straight as possible. Keeping that arm as straight as possible as you circle your body around the joint. And then unflip. And you can just circle the wrists to give them a little shake. And then let's return back to our tabletop shape. Now in table, find a couple of cat and cows. So we'll soften the belly down, the chest reaches forward, the seat reaches back, lengthening the front of the body, and then doing the reverse so the head can fall quite heavy, the tail tuck really pushing into the arms, the back body. One more time in your cow pose, belly dropping like the others. In your cat pose, like a cat stretching on a fence post on Halloween. And then coming back to your tabletop pose, we'll find cat and cow again. This time though, just with the low part of your back, your lumbar spine. So find table or neutral spine. And if you need to come up towards tall kneeling shape to kind of feel where neutral is, lock that in. And then just your lumbar spine is going to tuck, lift, tuck, lift with as little movement through the rest of your body as you can. While you're breathing. And then take a breath or two. Either sink your weight back to child's, knees can be wide, or come onto your forearms here, or rest in table, just kind of like a reset for 2 or 3 breaths. And then shift your weight back towards table. Find that neutral spine again. And we'll do the same thing just with the upper part of the spine. So now your low back stays, and just with the upper spine, we're finding cat and cow. Maybe not moving as much as you were before. Imagine or envision like you glue your butt to the back wall. Maybe one more time in each direction. And then we're going to lay ourselves down onto the belly. So stretch yourself nice and long and come on down to rest the belly. Maybe hand on top of hand under forehead. Give a little wiggle to your seat. And then slide your hands under your shoulders. Bring your forehead to the mat. You're going to curl your toes under. Squeeze your bum. Squeeze your legs as though with your toes glued to the mat, the rest of your legs are kind of getting pulled up towards the ceiling. So they're nice and strong. And with your arms, you're going to push those arms into the floor as though you were going to lift yourself up and hover there. So on an inhalation, inflate your lungs and lift through the whole back line, through your legs. Push, hold for about 10 seconds while you breathe. Really resist coming down to the floor. Push, 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 push. Legs are strong. Chest, head, neck engaged. And then let that all go. Rest down onto one temple and take a breath or two. Good, now bring your right arm straight up alongside your ear and bend your left elbow so your left hand comes to the floor. And then with your left leg, you're just going to swing it over your right, roll onto your side, and stretch the front line of your body, the front part of your hip. If you want to reach your left arm up, you can, or drape it over your ears, move however feels good. And then bring your left arm down beside your ear. We're going to roll to the left side, swing on your right leg over, and stretch onto that side. So the leg can be straight or bent or moving, your arms wherever they're comfortable. We're going to roll to the right again. Just trying to open spaces in your body here. Feeling whatever stretch feels good in your body. Rolling over to the left. And then making your way onto the right where we'll stay for a moment. Now either it's more comfortable for your left leg to be stepping in front of your right leg or to be behind your right leg. It doesn't matter which, but step your left foot flat to the floor. And try in front of the leg. If that doesn't feel good, try behind the leg. Your right leg doesn't have to be straight. And then little bit of movement with that left leg. So you're going to kind of butterfly the thigh in, butterfly it out. Butterfly the thigh in, butterfly it out. So you're just moving into the hip. Once that makes a little bit of sense in your body, you can take your foot off of the floor and make like a big circle with the hip. So you're going to kind of imagine like your knee is drawing circles on the ceiling. If you feel like you're going to tip backwards, just bend your right knee, like a little kickstand. And then bring that leg into what shape it would find in a squat. So bend your hip as much as you can, bend your knee as much as you can, and then flex your foot as much as you can. Take your hand to clasp the front of the thigh, or the front of the shin rather, or the back of the thigh. Big bend in your knees so your foot drops towards your bum as much as possible while you flex your foot. And then you're going to pull with your hand in that shape so that you're in that deepest stretch you can. And then take your hand away and breathe and count holding that shape. You're going to count for 10, 9, flex that foot. Good, knee to the ear. Breathing into the back ribs, side ribs. And then relax that down, give it a shake if you'd like. We're going to roll onto the other side. Same idea. So your foot is either behind you or in front of the leg. And then you're going to start to kind of fan it so it'll move forward and back in the joint as much as is available to you. And then lift the foot up off the ground, bend your left leg if you need to, and draw your big circles on the ceiling with your knee. So get your leg to move as fully into all the shapes as possible. Knee towards your chest, knee towards your ear, foot towards your head, without tipping over. And then come into that squat shape. So you can hold your foot, your shin, your thigh, as much of an angle as possible in your ankle, in your knee, and in your hip. Hold that shape, and then take your hand away and count for 10. We do have gravity helping us a little bit here. Push, 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 push. Breathing into your side and back ribs, and then let that leg relax. You can give it a little shake if you want to. Coming to rest on your side for a breath or two. Now use your right hand to help you come on back up towards a kneeling shape. So if the floor feels pretty crunchy beneath you, you can bring a folded blanket underneath your legs if you'd like, or just double fold your mat. Starting off, we're going to extend your right leg out to the side. So if you want, you can turn so you're facing the long edge of your mat like I am. Now, start off with your toes facing in the same direction as your chest. But if that puts a lot of strain on the knee or on the hip, then just turn so that your toes face to the right and you'll have a little bend in the leg. Hands can be alongside your side or crossed across your chest. You're going to inhale here and then keep that left hip nice and stable. You're going to hinge towards your extended leg. So as you do that, you want to make sure you're not pushing the hip away from you. And then come up to center, same thing. So with your extended leg, almost feel like it's pulling in towards your body. With your knee, same thing. Come up. Make sure that your head and your tail stay on the same line so you're not curling forward, making this a true side bend. Now we'll go the other way. So you're going to go away from the leg, still without moving the hip. So feel like the legs are pulling in towards each other. They're going to stay nice and strong. They're acting like your little anchors. Now take your block close by in case you need it for the next phase of this. Same direction, so you're going away from your extended leg. Place your hand down under the shoulder, maybe onto a block. Reach your arm. And then your leg's going to lift up. So now if you had your toes pointed to the side, you're going to point them the same direction as your face. You're lifting up and up. I know it's a lot for the hips. Up, if you can, you'll hold it there. Maybe take your hands away. Come back. Good. And then both hands down to the floor. With your left knee, I guess, you're going to step your left foot forward and come up to a kneeling shape so that we can do the same thing standing. So face the long edge. The leg you were just working is the leg you're still going to be working. So hands to the waist or to the chest. Cross. Hands here, wherever is comfortable for you. And we're going to hinge towards the leg without moving the hips. So you're moving towards the leg you were just working. Good. Come back up. So the legs are still feeling like they're pulling in towards each other. Now move away from the leg that was just working. Breathe into your back and side ribs. Now hold in this hinge. You're going to find that block and place it underneath your hand. So if it's more comfortable for you to turn your left foot out, you can turn your left foot out and you're going to lift into half moon pose. So you can see as I lifted up, I moved my block forward so it stays under my shoulders. Think of pulling yourself back onto that imaginary wall and your leg goes up, down, up, down. As it comes down, keep your right hip glued to the wall. Maybe lift your right arm. Bring it to your heart. Maybe start to take your hand off that block. Well, come on back to your half moon pose. In your standing forward fold, sway yourself side to side a wee bit. And then come up to standing and feel into your hips. Feel into your ribs. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So once again, face the long edge of your mat. Come on down to kneel. And extend your other leg out. So for you guys, you're probably extending your left leg out. Then make sure that your hips are in the same line. There's not one on top of the other. If you have your toes pointing the same direction as your chest, make sure that your heel isn't too far ahead of your body. So you want to kind of align with your tailbone at where it would be if you were standing. And then we're going to move towards the leg. So hands to the waist, cross your arms behind the head, and you're going to side bend towards the leg. Imagine yourself glued onto an imaginary wall. And the legs are pulling towards one another. Same thing, but moving away from the legs. Legs still pull towards one another. And good. You're moving without moving your left hip. Then come into that side bend and maybe just place your fingertips or hands to the floor or onto the block if that feels more comfortable. And your block, shoulder, knee, other heel are kind of in the same line. Then you're going to extend your leg up and down. Up, down. Breathe into your back and your side ribs. See if you can hold it up. Maybe take less weight off that block. Then lower back down. Turn towards, so turn away from your extended leg and into a lunge. You're probably stepping your right foot into that lunge to come up and face the long edge of your mat. So now, hands to the waist, chest, heart, cross, somewhere where they're going to stay. And towards your right leg, you're going to find side bend without moving your hips. Imagine yourself sort of in a really narrow alleyway doing this. Then away from your leg, away from your right leg, same thing, your hips are still. So the legs feel like they're pulling towards each other. That'll act as your anchor. Into your half moon pose. So now your right foot might turn to the side, but your left toes are still facing the same direction. Gonna come down in that same side bend. This time placing your hand in as you shift your weight forward, you might find that you need to place your block a little further forward to help support. Lifting your leg as high as you can, now roll your left hip back so it feels like you're leaning on an imaginary wall. The leg will go up and down 2 or 3 times without moving the hip. And then reach. Looking down towards your right foot, maybe take your hand away. Back to your half moon. And then into your standing forward fold. Now in your standing forward fold, see if you can cross your arms. Let your head hang heavy. Bring some weight to your heels. And then make little bounces with your knees. See if your body can be heavy enough that you feel that kind of ricochet through the spine, and nod the head yes. The nodding is kind of just naturally happening. And then stillness, hands on blocks if you want some stability. Push down into the feet, arms heavy, and try to roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Once you're standing, give the shoulders a roll back and down, and then make your way down onto your back to find some opening in the fronts of your hips. So fold a blanket behind your head if you'd like. Starting off as you come to your back with a little bit of a neutralizing pose, sort of butterfly the legs away and towards each other. As you do so, the shape of your spine stays the same. The pelvis doesn't change shape. And then feet to the mat. Elbows can bend to 90 degrees if you'd like. Feel the floor underneath your back. Start with your tail tilting like you're pointing your tail towards your knees. And then slowly take your seat, your low back, feel yourself lifting away from the floor and feel the feedback of the floor helping you to lift 1 vertebra at a time. And then vertebra by vertebra back down to the floor. Upper spine before lower spine. And again, 1 more time. So start with that tilt of the tail. Then the rolling up. Really focus on the sensation of your back on the floor and what is lifting away first, second, third. With your hips up in the air now, take your legs and feel like they're pulling towards you. Pull, 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 and hold that for 10 seconds while you breathe. Then feel like you're pushing the feet away from you. Same thing, hold that and breathe for 10 seconds. And then neither pushing nor pulling, roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. And be still or move for 2 or 3 breaths. Collect yourself here, reconnect with your breath. Find ease where ease is available to you. And now bring your feet together, your knees open. Pushing into the edges of your feet, tilt your tail, roll vertebrae by vertebrae off the floor. Holding there for 3 or 5 breaths. Keep tilting that tail so you're not loading or hanging into your low back, and then 1 vertebra at a time, tilt your tail, roll back, down. Find a little bit of movement if it's available to you. And then bring your feet back to hip bone distance-ish apart. Tilt your tail, and as you lift up, you're going to butterfly the knees away from each other. As you roll back down, you're going to bring the legs back towards one another. So lift your toes, maybe bring them through your heel. So we're trying still to roll vertebrae by vertebrae up off the floor. Butterfly the knees away at the same time. Vertebrae by vertebrae back. Bring the legs together. Challenge yourself to make the movement as gradual in your legs as it is in your spine. So as you vertebrae by vertebrae go back, you're slowly opening to butterfly. So both movements happen simultaneously. And as you come back vertebrae by vertebrae down, rolling back to neutral. Maybe one more time if you can. Slowly roll your way out. And back to neutral as you slowly roll back down. Good. Find a couple of movements in your legs if it feels good, or let yourself be still. And then rolling onto one side. You can use your folded blanket under your head if you'd like. As you make your way to your side, your legs can be bent, but from your tailbone, chest, back of the head, imagine that you're on a wall. So you get yourself as straight as possible. And then your top arm straight up to the ceiling like a flagpole. So now the rest of your body is going to stay exactly in this shape. And your whole arm, locking the elbow from the shoulder, make a little tiny circle on the ceiling. And then let that circle grow bigger and bigger till you're moving as big as you can in all directions without moving any other part of your body, without clenching or gripping or changing the shape of your body. Maybe 3 circles one way. Really stay locked, especially above the head, and then change directions. And then find the spot that you kind of dislike the most in this pose. Usually it's somewhere in this back range. Hold there for a moment while you breathe. And then push out through the fingertips ever so slightly. Almost this sensation like you were shooting a spider web from your fingertips. Maybe bring a little smile to your face. And then bring the arm gently down on top of your body and take a rest for a moment or two. And let yourself really surrender into that rest. Gently now using that arm to help you come up towards seated. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Take your time. to set yourself up as straight as possible from the upper part of your spine. So if your knees want to stay bent, they can be bent. Find your breath in your low ribs and the sides of your ribs, and then your top arm can reach to the ceiling. Lock that elbow, and then make little circles. And just check in with how the rest of your body responds. Let those circles grow as big as you can while still maintaining ease through the rest of your body. You don't have to push off your extended arm that's on the floor. You don't have to clench your seat. There's no clicking, cranking, creaking in your ears. And then change directions. Go as slow as you need to go to stay connected. And to course correct when you know you're going too far and the rest of the body is trying to make accommodations. And once you've done 2 or 3 times this direction, find the stickiest spot. Hold there. Maybe reach out through fingertips slightly. Maybe bring a little smile to the face. And then let your arms circle around or place itself down upon your body for a breath or 2. Then slowly you're going to make your way towards whatever shape you'd like to take for your final resting pose. So you can move your body still if it's creating movement. You can lie on your back or your side or your belly. Or you could come up to seated if you'd like. And then make yourself as comfortable there as you can. So cover it with blankets. Place your blankets behind your head if you'd like. You're welcome to close through the eyes, or maybe let the eyelids go heavy, or simply blur your focus slightly so you're not really looking at anything, though your eyes might be open. Notice that you're breathing. And try to release any habitual tendencies we might have, like breathing loudly when we focus on the breath, increasing our volume, or taking large, gasping breaths like you're about to go underwater. Certainly allow the breath to be as full as it can, filling into as many spaces in your body as is available for you today. But I invite you to do so with a gentle welcoming, as opposed to with energy and force. And while you focus on this gentle unfolding of your breath, in your mind's eye, envision a space, a physical place that it means something to you. Maybe it's the studio you practice in. Maybe it's sitting on the end of your dock. Maybe it's a place you've never been to but you can imagine. And in your mind's eye, place yourself there. And place yourself there as though you were sitting in one moment in time. So it isn't as though you're watching the scene change. You're not watching people walking by or the sun rising or the sun setting, but just one moment, almost like you're sitting inside of a photo of that place. Filling your senses with as much of the experience of that single moment. What sound would you hear? What are you looking at in as much detail as possible? Can you smell the lake or the trees or the essential oils that they use at the studio? What is the ground like beneath you? What is the temperature on your skin? Notice that you're breathing. And without actually moving your body, bring your attention to your fingers. And then letting that go without actually moving your body, bring your attention to your toes. And without moving your body, bring your attention back to the breath. And gently let your eyes open slightly and then reclose. And then again, let your eyes open slightly on your inhale and then let them reclose. And then letting your eyes open on an inhale and starting to move your body however it's craving. Gradually maybe rolling to a different shape, side lying, or onto your back. And then after a breath or two, up towards seated. And thank you for your practice. Namaste.